guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today in the Ask SSM video series, got an email from a subscriber. This guy is 46 years old. He's been married for 4 years now. He's a father. And unfortunately, there's trouble in paradise. And it's been going on pretty much since they got married. Why? Well, because money problems. Problems with the finances. And it seems like for the better part of their marriage, they've been living paycheck to paycheck, probably racking up some debt as well. And as completely understandable, it was stressful. The wife, instead of working with her husband and remembering that part of the vow about for richer or poorer, decided behind the scenes, replace our guy here. And our guy finds out about this, and now he's writing in asking me and you guys about a situation, what do I think about it, how he ought to handle it, that type of thing. And here's the thing, also, I don't know how new he is to the channel and the community, but he originally posted his situation for feedback on Reddit like 7 months ago, something like that. You know, a couple months after this whole thing went down. And he got a lot of answers, and then yesterday he wrote an update to everybody, and then at the same time wrote me. So I'm going to read what he actually posted on Reddit after his little things to me, and then I'm going to chime in what I think he should do, where I think things went wrong, blah, 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 and hopefully we can help him out, as well as any of you guys that might be in this situation. Because money problems are one of the biggest things that cause problems in a marriage, and this is why you got to be with somebody that sees eye to eye with you money-wise about spending and saving and investing and all that. Having an emergency fund because things are always going to come up, so you want to make sure you have cash to pay for it, because if you can't pay for it, you know, you got a big problem here. As well as many other things. So it starts off, and he says here in his email to me before I read his Reddit post, he says, "Hey brother, hope you're doing well. I've been a listener and watcher and contributor since 2019. Oh, okay, well, now he's been watching me a long time. Well, you should have written me first instead of gone to Reddit. You're doing yeoman work for us guys, and I truly do appreciate you. This story is what happened to me recently, and I went to Reddit to post. I would greatly appreciate your feedback and advice on the matter. Smack me if you must, and if you do, I know I would deserve it. If you need any additional info, just let me know. I hope that you can use this on one of your channels. Thanks, brother SSM. It says also, please keep my identity private. For this story, you can refer to me as Big John." All right, Big Johnny. Remember, guys, I'll never reveal your info. But when you write your story, if you mention your name, don't use your name. Don't mention where you live. Don't mention a company you work for or anything like that. You can drop hints, but just try to keep that part vague, you know? But I will never give up your email address or that type of thing. I know I say it all the time, but I got to make it clear. So here is, I'm going to read his post from Reddit. And he should have went to me first, but I guess he wanted all the feedback he could get. He says here, my wife, a 32-year-old female, and I, a 46-year-old male, were married in the pandemic. We've been together for 12 years. Monogamous, traditional, Southern dating, and values. All right, 12 years is a long time, and you got married. Now, I don't know if you mean 12 years, including the last 4 years, but I guess you do. So you're 8 years together before you got married. You would think that's a long time to get to know someone, but until real-life situations hit you, like money problems in a marriage and having a kid, yeah, then you see who people are. Anyway. Our marriage started out rocky with complicated childbirth and some financial difficulties due to me not having stable income. Previously, money was not an issue. Aha. Things were good, but then obviously when the virus hit the world and a lot of people couldn't go to work because that was the state laws at the time, house arrest, amongst many other things. Okay. Things were tough. That's where richer and poorer comes in. She stands by you. We lived separate for a year with each other's parents who lived in our mutual hometown. Why is that? Maybe, I don't know. My wife took it hard being with a newborn and me not being there like I should. I worked a lot, but barely made enough money to support us. We spent time together almost every day, unless there was work prohibiting us from doing so. Things finally started to change for the better in the summer of 2023. I landed a new job that would support us financially and relieve the stress of being broke all the time. Good for you. You struggle. Look, guys, we're all going to go through hard times. And I guarantee you, if many of you guys that watch me right now that are obviously, you know, maybe my age in your 40s and definitely older, the odds are you've all at least one time have lost your job. because of downsizing or a recession or something like that, or your company moving overseas, I don't know what. Yeah, it's going to happen, and you got to be strong enough to get through the tough times, to keep on putting those resumes out there, going to those interviews. And this is where having an emergency fund around so it doesn't impact your family life too much, because that can cause a lot of problems. I'm still wondering why you lived apart, but maybe, I don't know, maybe because literally money was so tight. She stayed with family, you stayed with your family. I don't know. Maybe you can explain that later. We moved back in together in a spacious one-bedroom apartment in October 2023. So up till now, we've been living together under the same roof for 7 months. One day, I grabbed my wife's phone and I performed some searches, with her knowledge, of course, for a link, and she sent me a month ago. As I'm typing in the search bar, some interesting texts come up that she's been in a recent past with. She's had in the recent past with her friends. The texts were talking about how stressful our marriage is and money concerns. There we go. Now, there's nothing wrong with her talking to her friends, her confidants, if you will, about, okay, stress with money and stuff like that. I have no problem with that, because people need to talk and get things off their chest. It's not healthy to have things bottled up, but what happens next ain't good. Her friend was encouraging her to get a sponsor or sugar daddy. Here we go. Pay attention to who your wife hangs out with. Is this friend married herself, or is this friend single? As I read through the text, I was heartbroken, realizing that my wife was actually taking her friend's suggestions seriously. As I continue to read, I find where her friend gives my wife some guy's phone number. They talk sexually explicit about the guy, referring to how big his sausage is, how athletic he is, and she tells my wife to call him. Evidently, my wife did at least communicate with the guy, as she stated in a text to her friend that she had been texting him. Again, I get the stress of you're not living together and money is so tight and the newborn kid and all that. That's hard on anybody, but that doesn't justify her doing what she did. And that piece of crap friend of hers egging her on. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what her friend did. The wife is going along with this and now looking to replace you. A loyal, loving wife wouldn't pull this shit. She'd communicate to you, and I'm sure she did, that she's stressed, but that you work it out. And I don't hear anything about her job. Nothing came up as I searched for messages for his phone number. I assumed that she used another phone to communicate with him. This all took place on or around January 15th on MLK Day. Okay, so he wrote this story on Reddit 7 months ago, 7 months and change. So obviously, he had been going through a lot of what he mentions pretty soon, then posted his story on Reddit. I remember that day distinctly, as we were both off from work. That day, my wife treated me very badly. She was a terror. Looking back, I assumed that maybe they, my wife and the affair partner, were supposed to have hooked up that day, but me being off work foiled their plans for just a day. I confronted my wife later that night about the messages. She cried and apologized while explaining that why she did what she did, and I asked her for the following questions. So a lot of these stories I go over, guys, when the wife's cheating, guys can notice a change in behavior, and also the wife starts being really freaking bitchy and rude to the guy and blowing up, taking things out on him and all that. And so even though she's the one doing what she's doing. Now here are the questions he asks her, and as I read these questions, I want you to think, guys, do you think she's actually going to give him an honest answer? First question he asked her, do you think about me, and if so, when? Did you think about me, or if so, when? During the cheating. Do you want to stay together? Did you ever talk about me with him? What do you think about cheating? Did you feel guilty? Did you feel guilty after sex or whatever actions took place with him? How do you give yourself permission to do what you did? What was what you told me in the only activity, or was it more? How long did the affair last? What do you want now, and why did you cheat? There is no way you're going to get a truthful answer, a straight answer, anything like that from her at all. So for the past few days, my wife has been nuts about how much stress she was under, and then she love bombed me and not answered any of my questions. Well, that tells me everything. If she can't answer any of the questions, it's more like pack your shit and get out unless you're going to answer these questions. But of course the love bombing, and I'm sure the I'm so sorries and the promises, and I get she was stressed because of the situation. Because you said before the virus hit, the money was, you were comfortable. And then real life hit, obviously you lost your job or something like that, and you had to take what you could take. Money became tight, and after a while she couldn't take it anymore. That's okay to be stressed, but not this crap. So over the past few days, my wife has, I've read that part. It says, I'm assuming the worst has happened without her giving me an answer. But she says that she's going to answer all my questions tomorrow. I do not want a divorce, but as I told my wife, divorce is an option. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts? Well, I have a lot of thoughts here, but that was the first part of his story. Then obviously a lot has happened, and then he updates yesterday, which is the same time he wrote me wanting more feedback. Well, all I can tell you is you talk to a lawyer and you find out all your options. And in my opinion here, the fact that she wouldn't answer your questions and she says, oh, I'll give you some answers tomorrow. What is she doing? What she's doing is she's cooking up a whole bunch of bullshit to respond to all your questions with. She's probably consulting that friend of hers and other friends how the best, and not to mention covering her tracks. Now to his update. And this is what he posted yesterday because our guy has been busy here. He says, sorry for the delay. It's been a while since all this has happened, but I didn't want to post too quickly without knowing more about the full picture and details about what was involved and transpiring. Thank you all for your advice, support, and patience. I glanced over the comments and people were obviously on this guy's side. So 2 days after my post on here, my wife and I talked. She was open and honest about everything and confirmed what I already knew. I wouldn't put too much stock in her being open and honest. The communication between her and the affair partner took place over an app on the phone that she had deleted. Shocker. My wife re-downloaded the app, and all the communication between them was still intact. It was honestly nothing more than general texting that was pretty much lame filler. No sexual talk, no meetup talk, no dudes, no phone calls, except the initial call that lasted 47 seconds. That's all fine and dandy, but I just can't help but think that she was communicating with him someplace else. Because why wouldn't she answer this question right away? Why did she string you along? Oh, I'll answer those questions tomorrow. Bullshit. I'm just not, I've been doing this too long. I did indeed drop divorce papers, but I never served them to her. Okay, good. You obviously saw a lawyer to get the divorce papers, and she knows you have them. That's going to give her a reality check, if indeed you guys stay together. We've been in counseling for the past several months. Marriage for us, and both in individual counseling for her. There has been zero communication with the friend since when I found out. There's been no communication with the affair partner since the first contact, which lasted about a day and a half back in January, which is still too much for my acceptance. I'm pretty much good at tech. I have access to her phone and other technology of hers, and I have all of her passwords and email. Well, as far as you know, she hasn't talked to this scumbag friend of hers and this affair partner. And I want to point out that a good friend would have told her, hey girl, I got your back. I get you're stressed. I've been there too, but such and such is a good guy. He's trying. Don't do this. Don't screw this up. Obviously, that was not the text exchange. It was, nope, replace him. She doesn't have social media other than Facebook. And I have even access to her work phone and email. She doesn't do girls' nights. She didn't have a bachelorette party, and I know her work schedule, and she gives it to me openly without asking. She's constantly telling me her whereabouts and calls me to check in without me asking. I've told my wife that I'll never be her prison guard, meaning that if I cannot trust her, then I'll end the marriage. She's been compliant to all my requests. We met with her family 3 days after D-Day, where she confessed and apologized for her wrongdoing. Wow, she confessed to her family. We've been more communicative than ever before. Honestly, I kind of get agitated by her expressing so much, but it's worth having a healthy marriage moving forward. I do not believe that what has happened is worth divorce at this time. However, I will not hesitate to pull the trigger on our marriage if I ever feel disrespected at any time. Okay, and that was the end of his part 2 of his Reddit post there, and obviously a lot of people respond to that, so now he wants to hear what I think. Well, I will say this, that she certainly is, you say jump and she says how high. She's certainly putting in the work in terms, but these are all classic things I see all the time. Okay, you said you don't want to be her prison guard. Who can blame you? That's no marriage. that literally you're, watching her every fucking move and she's checking in and all that. And some guys may think, ha ha ha, that's pretty funny. Yeah, but that's no way to live. And obviously it's already getting old. That's great that she is showing you some things, but I don't know if it's all the things. And she confessed in front of her family. That's a big deal. And you said she's not doing girls' nights, and to your knowledge is not talking to that girlfriend anymore. And she's doing the counseling. And what else? All those other things. Okay, that's positive. Good. It appears she's making the effort, but I still just can't get past what went down. And again, it's understandable. It was stressful as hell. Money being tight. Probably it was more like, it wasn't just like you were breaking even. You were probably racking up debt every month, putting on the additional things on the credit card or stuff like that. And you got to pay interest on the credit card, and not being able to do the things you enjoy. I get that's tough. People go through it, but that doesn't justify. And yeah, the friend was putting the ideas in her head, but still your wife is a grown-ass woman who can think for herself. So at the end of the day, man, because you've been with her so long and you have a kid with her and she seems like she's on her best behavior, you want to postpone any drastic action, fair enough. That's your business. It's your life. At the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you, and you know your situation. But I think it's very good you saw a lawyer, obviously, because you got the divorce papers. She knows you saw a lawyer. She knows you drafted those things up. And so those papers are locked away in the safe, and she knows you're willing to act. And that's good. Because remember, as I say all the time, guys, your girl has to know if the bitchiness gets too bad, she pushes you too far, whatever you want to call it, you're going to walk. You can replace her. You're cool being on your own. You're cool taking the biggest hit in the world compared to the disrespect of being under the same roof with someone like that. That's how you truly get respect. Because that means you respect yourself not to tolerate any crap. And women don't love a guy they don't respect, as you can see. So now she sees that you're not taking any crap, and look how she's behaving. So if you want to have this to be a probationary period of time because that works for you, okay. If it was me, frankly, I would be, planning my exit strategy. Because, yes, you've been with her for a total of 12 years, married for 4. If you split up, well, it's obviously you don't have a whole lot of assets, so you're not going to get that hard. Probably, I'm guessing the alimony probably won't be too much because you've been married that long, and probably, and also, but the child support, you're going to have to obviously pay for your child, and, and also the fact that, what else? She may get custody. So you have to weigh all your options, and your lawyer will give them to you. But I've lived too long. I've done this too long. I've heard too many stories. And I just see that once a cheater, always a cheater. Yeah, that's how it goes. And if nothing happened with that guy, that's great, really. But what if you didn't find those messages? And what if you hadn't gotten that job? Then she could have been off with that guy. You know what I mean? So that intent was there. If it was me, I'd be walking away. End of story. But that's how I am. And I know a lot of people are always like, at the end of the day, SSM always says dump them. Well, and let's come back to the prison guard thing. Do you really want to spend the rest of your marriage basically being the prison guard? And I always say, pay attention, look for red flags. Trust but verify, the old Ronald Reagan saying. But there's keeping your eyes open and then being an active prison guard, being the fucking warden of your house and watching your wife all the time and her checking in and all that. That's no way to live. And I guarantee you, every time she's on her phone and all that, you're thinking. So, but ultimately, I want you to do what's best for you. So what I think what I would do, but ultimately you got to do what's best for you. But at the very least, I would continue this probationary period and all that. And if ultimately you decide, what, it's not going to work, I just still don't trust her even though she's doing all this, then you can walk away. And hopefully it goes out well for you. That's what I think. But again, you got to do what's best for you. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Please let this guy know what you think. Those of you guys have been around for a while. Maybe you've been through divorce. Maybe you had similar situations. And also some of you guys out there that maybe were like him, where some shit was going down, but it didn't go down too far. And maybe your wife or girlfriend really was doing everything she could to prove that, yeah, she fucked up, she's sorry, and she claims she did it because of stress and whatever dumbass reason, but she was making the effort. Comment and let this guy know how that went. Did she eventually just fuck things up eventually, or she actually, who knows? Because my opinion on this. I'd be moving on. And your child is young enough not to be too impacted by this, but that's me. But if you want to continue this trial period, Okay. Who knows? Maybe you could be an exception, but you're always going to be wondering. But let him know, guys, because we can help this guy out. That's why we're here. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. Now, catch you next time.